So, yes, Beauty and the Beast, the Enchanted Christmas. You know, I the the whole the Disney Direct-DVD thing I think is really in my wheelhouse because I these movies are not all ones that I saw when I was a kid, but most of them have been. I saw a lot of these Disney Direct DVDs when they first came out, and this one probably didn't anger me all that much when I was a kid, just because I didn't really pay attention when I was a kid critically so much as I do now. But this one really, really made me mad. In fact, it the Disney Direct DVDs all have sort of different effects on me, and I I think that like with the Little Mermaid 2, it was just kind of the irritation was fairly mild. I mean, that movie is basically just unnecessary. But this one is not only unnecessary, which of course all Disney Direct DVDs are unnecessary, but this one just it enrages me. It really does. And you know, it's just because I've never understood the the whole midquel thing. I explain, in this review, obviously, what a midquel is, but I don't understand how a midquel could ever possibly work. And so it's just that this movie it loses so much credibility just coming out of the gate because if you're sitting down, imagine the people who wanted to make this movie sitting down in a brainstorming room and saying to themselves, okay, well, when do we set this movie? Well, we obviously can't set it before the events of the first movie because the Beast doesn't know Belle, and we can't set it after the events of the first movie because if we want everyone to still be enchanted, obviously the enchantment is broken at the end of the first movie. So the only thing they can do is a midquel, and midquels are just they are bad by concept because in particular there's no real drama in a midquel because you already know how the story ends. It's not like what do they think? That we're going to watch the original movie, stop in the middle of it, watch this movie, and then continue watching the original? I don't get where I don't get where this movie comes from. I just don't. And sometimes I don't understand some of the creative decisions that get made with these direct to video Disney sequels because this movie has absolutely no regard, and it just doesn't care about any of the established characters. Almost nobody in this movie acts like they did in the first one. It's I mean the nostalgia chick. She did a review of this movie, and she referred to it like bad fan fiction. And really, that's the best way I can think of to describe this movie. This movie is like bad fan fiction. And so when it comes to trying to figure out really how I want to approach a movie like this, is that you you have to try to remain somewhat objective in these things. And I don't make it a secret that I really love the original Beauty and the Beast movie. I think it's one of my favorite Disney movies, period. And I don't hide that. But I have to kind of approach this sequel. I try to approach these movies with an open mind, because there's actually Songs from Paul, the guy who who wrote the theme song for this. Well, he didn't actually write well, he wrote the theme song, but he didn't write it for me. Obviously, he just kind of wrote it and I used it. And if you're not subscribed to him, shame on you. You really should be. But enough plugging. I'll put a link to his channel in the doobly doo again. But the I'm sorry, I've almost completely lost my train of thought here. Just watching the stupidity that is the physical comedy in this scene. And right here, just look at this for a second. Physics! What's that? Why does he all of a sudden have traction? I don't know. It's just so... I keep falling silent because that's what this movie does to me. It's... I don't know what to say half the time when I see the profound idiocy that is this movie. And so, but okay, I remember what I was saying. Songs from Paul, he actually wants me to do a review of The Emperor's New Groove 2. I'm not really sure what... No, I'm sorry, it's called Kronk's New Groove. That's the name of it. It's a sequel to The Emperor's New Groove, and I haven't seen that one. And he says it's the only Disney direct-to-video sequel that he's ever enjoyed, and I haven't seen it. So, but, you know, and I know that he really loved the original Emperor's New Groove, and I love it. I love it too. That's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen The Emperor's New Groove, you really, really need to, because it's a work of comedic genius. But, you know, and he says it's good, and I might disagree with him. I might totally agree with him. It might be the first good direct-to-video Disney sequel. I don't know, because I haven't seen it. But, you know, that's what I'm talking about when I try to go into these things with an open mind. It can be hard to do that, especially with this one, because I love the original movie so much, and I don't want to be unfair to this movie because of my opinion of the original, if that makes any sense. And, you know, I don't expect a whole lot from Disney direct-to-video sequels. You can't expect them to be as well animated or as well written or to have the same amount of care taken as the original. You can't expect that, because that will never happen. Just for basic time and budget reasons, that will never happen. And so you really have to kind of, you got to try to judge the movie on its own merits to a certain extent, but you also do have to bring the original into it, because, you know, from the original movie there is established canon, there are established characters, established personalities, and this movie completely disregards almost all of it. And by the way, that book, you'll see here, it's bound, and then it's bound on a different side there. You know, first it's bound sort of like manga. I always forget how to pronounce it. Either manga or manga. I'll just say manga. It's bound sort of manga style, but then the binding switches sides when she puts it in the box. And that's what I'm talking about, when just, you know, the people who make these direct-to-video sequels just, they don't seem like they're paying attention. And you have to. You know, the people that make these things are supposed to be professionals. They're supposed to, you know, they're supposed to care. And I never get the impression that the people who make these direct-to-video Disney movies, I never get the impression that they care. They don't seem to care about the product they're making. They don't seem to care about the original movie at all. They just don't care. And if you don't care, how is your audience supposed to care? And just... I'm sorry. This really does make me laugh. Like, the appearance of Tim Curry as a human, because he just looks absolutely ridiculous. And then, like, you'll see here, like, and what I'm wondering is the pipe organ is very clearly in the sort of the living room kind of area there, and then all of a sudden it's like in the attic of the West Wing. you know, if he gets turned into the pipe organ, wouldn't he stay there? It's not, the pipe organs are not exactly convenient things to move. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm gonna be I have to split this up into two parts because of the fact that just, well, I'll explain it later. But I got to move on to the next part.